The 2000 Sydney Olympics, the Drive for Five, as it was dubbed, with Marion Jones trying to win 5 gold medals at the Olympic Games. Right before the Sydney Games, C.J. Hunter, Marion Jones' then husband, tests positive. He calls you. What offers made to Hunter?
When I saw the results, and I got the dates, and there were 4 different positives, what immediately showed me that this was not from using nandrolone, and that there was something really wrong here, was the fact that he had a positive, and then the next meet a negative, and then the next meet a positive, and then the next meet a negative. And then if you take nandrolone, it stays in your system, absolute minimum 6 months, and the longest case documented is 1.5 years. But on average, a year. You just don't test positive one day and negative the 3 days later and positive. And then, so I knew he was doing something that was causing this positive test, and my strong suspicion was he was taking a contaminated nutritional supplement. And as it turned out, I did a lot of homework on this, and he was trying to lose weight, and he felt tired and fatigued, and he got this bright idea when they were in Rome, which is where I believe the first positive occurred, and he just walked out of the hotel, went down, found a pharmacy, and he bought this iron supplement. And he said, well, maybe it's the iron supplement. Well, we still had this. So I said, I need to get all this information, got the bottle, and figured out what the lot number was. And the crazy part about it was, I recognized the name of the company. It was being sold in Italy, but it said made by this lab that was in New York at the time. I said, well, I know the guy that runs this lab. In fact, this guy's one of my customers. So I went back to this guy and I said, listen, there's a guy that tested positive for this, and he was taking this product. And can you go back and look at all and I'd actually been to the place, I'd walked around, seen the facility, I knew the manufacturing place, and I noticed that they had 3 machines in the same room with the same air filtration system. So we got all the way back to the run, and I found out that a multi-species prohormone was being manufactured at the same time on the same day as this iron supplement.
What offer did they make to Hunter?
The head at the time, or one of the heads of the IAAF, came to CJ and said, listen, we know that Marion's the darling of the upcoming Olympic Games. What we want you to do, and he had made the team, by the way, what we want you to do is go out in front of a stadium full of people, fake an injury, act like you hurt your knee, and then withdraw. And then we don't bring this up. So we get to Sydney. Marion had already won the 100-meter gold in the spectacular finish, by winning by over 4 meters. And all of a sudden, this early morning, I get a call from CJ, and he tells me, bam, there's a positive test. They're coming forward with this stuff. We need to come and talk to you. Next thing you know...
And this was in Sydney. It had been linked to the media.
This is in Sydney. And so I got up very early that morning and went and met them outside. And there was a kind of a large van, and there were members of Nike and members of NBC and CJ, and he basically said, tell them what you got about this positive test and what I knew.
So they pick you up in the van.
So they picked me up in the van, and then they say, well, now we want to take you to this hotel, and we're having this big meeting that was basically being headed up by Johnny Cochran. And so we stopped on the way, and we picked up Marion. And so as we're driving, and it's me and Marion in the back, and CJ and Johnny in the next, and we're talking, and all of a sudden they call one of the other, either NBC or Nike executives, and we hear, oh my God, it's like they were timing it. First there was 1 positive, now they leaked another positive, and there's another, now there's 4 positives. So this is all escalating, oh my God, what are we gonna do now? And so we picked up Marion, we went to this hotel, we had this meeting with Johnny and this whole team of people, and there was all kinds of, I don't want to name names, but very famous spin doctors, media people. And so I explained to them, listen, I'm not a doctor. I'm not a PhD or an MD, but I can explain all this to you. So I tried to hook them up with a couple of people that I knew. One was an MD and the other was a PhD. And they talked to them to see if they could present this information. And once they talked to them, they just figured they couldn't explain it. And all of a sudden, this decision was made, and they said, well, we don't care, you're our doctor. So you're going to go and you're going to explain this to 1,000 people in the grand ballroom at this big hotel from media from all over the entire world. And the next thing you know, we're at this hotel, there's this big meeting, and they're pushing up, it's Johnny and me and CJ. So I tried to give the explanation. I answered as many questions as I could. It was the strangest day of my life. They literally carried me there. I mean, by the arms to get up there with just a big sea of people. And when the press conference was over, these same two security guys just brought me off the stage, and we walked down this long hallway, and they just opened this push door, and they said, okay, thanks a lot, and kind of pushed me outside and closed the door. I'm standing in this alley, and I'd just been, and I went, so I walked to the closest street I could find and got in a cab, and I went back to the hotel. And long story short, when we tried to negotiate the deal with CJ, our request was he would just walk away and retire from sport. But what he wanted and what I wanted and what Johnny, we were pushing for in the meeting was a commission to study contaminated nutritional supplements. And originally we were negotiating with USATF. They made all sorts of promises to us that they broke. I don't want to name the specific attorney involved, but they told us one thing and did something else. But long story short, within 6 months, the International Olympic Committee did a huge study of online as well as in the stores of over 650 products. And they determined whether it be calcium, multivitamins, whey protein, whatever it was. They just walked in and randomly purchased vitamin C, all kinds of products. 20% of those on the shelf and that they purchased online would create a positive test for an Olympic athlete.